So, the big question is this: how are entrepreneurs and real estate investors like us, ones who want to grow our businesses and who are tired of paying for really expensive alternative lending? How do we tap into the most inexpensive money available and do it without the hassle of typical borrowing? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. I'm Merrill Chandler, and welcome to the Are You Effable podcast. Welcome, everybody, to this episode of Are You Effable? On this one, I'm going to get real with you. I've got some things coming up for me that are total game changers, and I want to share with you kind of where I am about it, right? And how that may relate to you in your life, your funding life, and what you're trying to accomplish with your goals. So I'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back. Hey, if I seem not quite so loud and obnoxious, there's a reason for it. I wanted to kind of have a heart-to-heart. We've been doing this for a minute now. You may be binging the daylights out of this stuff because there's so much awesome content. But remember, let's take a second and kind of go over the why behind all of this, right? And I want to share with you an example of what's been coming up for me. For those of you who've been binging, for all we know, my book's been out for a couple of years by now. But as I speak to you right now, in this moment, my book is in the process of its final edits. It's going to the printers, and Are You Effable is coming out. Now, let me give you a little background behind this. I have been working on this book. It's been in my craw, in my head, for literally 20 years. I wanted the concepts to be available ever since I came up with them while I was in prison. I thought of writing all this down and getting it out into the world, kind of like the Bible to the fundability optimization experience, right? The movement, the revolution to kind of make a level playing field between borrowers and lenders. The problem is that I have, the closer I get to it, the more my fears are actually coming up. I mean, we've always heard it's almost a cliche, right? It's a cliche that fear of failure, fear of success, and both those fears are present at the same time. But I want to share with you kind of my process and see if you can relate. See if it's something that is meaningful to you as well. Because as I've written every chapter, and then more recently in the last 2 months, I have been editing and fine-tuning and fact-checking and making sure that every single assertion that I made is spot on with FICO, with Falcon software, with the data synchronization software, with the credit bureaus. I've been doing more research in the last 2 months than I have done in the last 2 years, because this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where the facts end up in your hot little hand, right? Everything that I speak is true, has been true, but I haven't brought up and reviewed all the documentation, everything some things I know perfectly clear, right? FICO said, we recorded all of our we have transcripts of all of our interviews and conversations and meetings with the FICO teams. And some of the things are my assertions, right? Where I just finished the revolving account section, and the one that you've already listened to here recently in one of the recent episodes. And to go through and literally footnote every little thing to make sure that the reader feels confident, feels safe in what I'm proposing, what FICO believes, what the lender software does. I just want everything to be documented, not just true. Does that make sense? Are you with me? And so the closer I've gotten in every one of these chapters, I've noticed the higher and higher the anxiety level. I've stopped sleeping. Me and sleep, we have an amazing relationship. I never have a problem sleeping. And now I'm dreaming more. I wake up more often in the evening because, and I keep going to my counselors, to my team members, my partners in the business. And I keep coming up against this wall. And the wall is, this book is a game changer. Just like what you're learning on these podcasts, it's a game changer. It changes the entire playing field, the entire relationship between borrowers and lenders. And that's what I set out to do. That's what I want to do. But all of a sudden, I start confronting the idea that, is our borrowers ready for that much power? Are lenders ready to partner up, right? Are they ready to select us in the draft? I know they make money when they lend, so I do all the math. The dominoes are all in play, but has this ever happened to you, where something that you've been working on for a minute, for that you're committed to, that you're devoted to? This has been my passion play for years, and it's finally here. You can go right now and, depending on when you're watching this, you pre-order your copy, fundinghackers.com, and then click on the Merrill's book. It's in the Merrill's book. It doesn't have anything else. It just says Merrill's book, right? But I love what's in there. I report to my team every single week at the end of the weekend, which is where I do my work. I report to my team my experience and what's happened. And this book is going to be the training, the first part of the training of every single fundability advisor that we bring on board. It is humbly, arrogantly, whatever the word is, it's amazing. I finally love being able to put into writing what I know, what I believe, what I assert, what my experience has been, and the gobs and gobs of successes that we've had. But the anxiety is there. Is this what does failure look like? Do I put it out there? I have my 160 true and faithful. Get one. They're free, but you pay for shipping, but they're free. I just want it out there, right? I just don't want it to cost me to get it in your hand. So if you handle shipping, I will handle the cost of the book. But what does failure look like? 160 people get it. I get a few thumbs up. Is the market ready for it? Are borrowers and lenders ready to play nice with each other? So this is what I'm up against. What is failure? What happens if I fail? What happens if this is not a thing? What happens if it's not a thing? And then fear of success. The other hand, everybody who has even heard the title of the book, just like the title of the podcast, right? Are you effable? People look at this, the insider secrets behind the art and science of being fundable. They read them, they're like, yes, this is good. This is a thing, Merrill. And I'm like, I want it to be a thing. I believe it deserves to be a thing, not because of me, but because I want people to know what's in the pages. I want people's lives to change because they can now fill out an application the right way and report on that application true things shaped and framed in a way that lenders' software can understand it and approve you. Fear of success. I'm already busy as an MF. I'm just busy, right? And I'm sitting here going, so what happens if people want to interview me for the book? What happens if it catches on, right? I mean, the title alone, coming from an ex-con, it is already kind of disruptive. What happens if it catches on? Do I have the disposition, the will? I have the energy, but will I represent it well? Will I will I represent you? Listeners, subscribers, borrowers, will I represent you well? Can I give you the tools? Is it written well enough so that you can implement it? Because if it's vastly successful in being purchased, will you do something with it? What happens if fundings go up? Lender profits go through the roof. Borrower opportunities go through the roof. What happens if this is a freaking revolution? I have my fears about that too. Where do you fear your failure? Where do you fear your successes? And the thing that kind of hurts my heart is they're the same damn thing. My book can fail. My book can succeed, but I'm afraid of both. And it pisses me off. Because, and generally, that comes down to a place deep in our hearts, guys, deep in our souls, where there's some little hole in our soul that success validates or failure validates, right? Interestingly enough, many of us would rather be right than happy. And being right means, of course it failed because I'm not good enough at doing what it needs to be done to be a national bestseller. Or, of course I'm right that it is a thing and it's going to be awesome. But my happiness is based on its success or failure? Do I become more of a person if it fails or succeeds? The question is where am I in my equilibrium? Am I prepared for either one of those outcomes? How do you where does this fear of success, fear of failure land in your life? You take down a home, you're a real estate investor, you take down a property, the numbers all look good, but you're saying, am I going to, because maybe you've succeeded in the past, maybe you've flopped and failed in the past. How do we deal with our fear? Me, I'm kind of a bull in a china shop, I just muscle through, like, I will succeed. But that's a whole lot of effort and a whole lot of expenditure of energy rather than a simple, elegant, and effortless walking into whatever happens. I know that I've done my best. I know when it hits Amazon, when it hits your mailbox, when it's mailed to you, I do know with all of my heart that I've done my best. And I pray that my best is good enough for you. Because I want your life to be different, even if it's from one little section of that entire book. I hope that every page has something that is going to give you an opportunity to expand your business, expand your personal financial well-being, so that you can provide for you and your loved ones even more opportunities. Where are you afraid of failing? Where are you afraid of succeeding? They're two sides of the same coin. And what I know, I've been doing this for 25 years. I've gone through 3 recessions and the Great Depression of 2008. I will be continuing to do this because I'm devoted to this. I am here if you need help in your in becoming more fundable, in making so that you are not stepping on the landmines that halt all of your financial progress. To show lenders the truth of your situation so that they fund you and they believe in you by funding you. I'm committed to you to make this happen in my book, in these podcasts, in the boot camps, in our coaching, every way in which I can. I want to be available to you so that you are not afraid. at least of not having the resources to fulfill your dream. When I look at the literally thousands of students and clients over the years that we've been able to work with, I sit here and I proudly regale, having over almost $100 million in these fundings, right? And how we're establishing a higher and higher baseline for your success. But there are so many times, so many letters, so many emails that I've received, comments on Facebook or on our funding hackers groups or etc. It brings tears to my eyes when literally I have the biggest heart. I'm a yeller. I'm a screamer. I'll shout down liars, cheaters, and thieves. But my heart is in the right place. And when someone sends me an email that says what their life was before they encountered this process and what it's turned into as a result of it, I just want literally millions of people to be able to have that same experience. I want you as an entrepreneur. I don't know your background. This is entrepreneurs, real estate investors, note buyers, businessmen, businesswomen, CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, all listen, all download, all want to know how they can do better in their own personal lives. They may be running $1 billion company. You would not know how much this is true. Running $1 billion company and their own personal finances, they spend as much as they earn, and they're in their hearts and souls, they're hurting financially at a personal level, but they're geniuses in growing their businesses. We all have that little Achilles heel, right? We always have, all of us have that weak point in our lives, that area that has always perplexed us, or we're dragging around with us like an anchor that we cannot seem to get rid of. I'm not one to say that money solves problems, but I do know that money can assist. It can leverage us out of holes, right? If done the right way, if it's smart money, if it's inexpensive money, if it's the right move, then we have amazing. It gives us more opportunities. That's all it is. It's a facilitator, right? The thing is that requires that we take a chance on our personal funding lives, on our business funding lives. I am taking a massive chance at failure by finally, 25 years into this gig, by finally putting it in print. I totally taking a chance at this not being a thing when I've held it as this glorious opportunity to change these dynamics between borrowers and lenders. But I'm not okay with not doing it. There's that risk reward thing, right? The greater the risk, the greater the potential of reward. But on the other end of that spectrum, there is not taking a chance, holding our smallness, holding mediocrity, holding a place in us that is not enough, right? And operating from that fear as well. So in this, you and I, we get to make a stand together. I'm making a stand. I don't know if it's true for other authors, but this is my first. Some guys who are doing their women who finished their 15th book, and everybody just grabs their stuff because it's so awesome. So they don't have that fear. I do. I have never published. I haven't even aspired to be an author. I've just aspired to figure out a way to get this tech into everybody's hands. We're even developing an app. So you don't need a book. You just run your phone and move through fundability, and it does all the heavy lifting for you. But that's still that's months or another year out. This book is a game changer for me, putting it into the world. It's a huge risk because I don't know how it's going to land. What is a huge risk for you in your business, in your relationship with your spouse or your partner? What is a risk for you? What is the reward by taking that risk? I just had one of my super meaningful relationships. We always have breakdowns and breakthroughs, right? But when you're in the middle of a breakdown, you don't know that a breakthrough is even possible. Isn't that true with our businesses, our employees, our managers, our partners, our loved ones, our beloveds? When we're confronted with that breakdown, it feels like there's no hope or no possibility, and we have failed. But if we hold fast, if we make a stand, if we choose with our hearts to be willing to grow, be willing to step out into the fire of their wrath or the marketplace or even the credit bureaus, FICO, and the lenders in the case of my book. If we're willing to make a stand and stand up and say, you know what, I'm done playing small. I'm done with those choices that make me mediocre or less relevant. Guys, I've been, for 20-25 episodes, I've just been yelling and yelling and yelling, excited. But it is important for you to get to know me better as well. And you guys have been giving me feedback. I love it when you make notes on the episodes. Give me comment. Tell me what's up. I want to know what's up for you. And one of my partners, Brad, just said, "Hey, Merrill, you know what? You're blowing them away with awesome content. We've got content for years. We've got content. And are you letting them get to know you? Are you letting them in? Are you letting them see that the truth of your day to day, right? Because guys, when I get up at 4 in the freaking morning on Saturday morning to write my book so that I can give you the best possible opportunities in your financial and funding life, I'm also there by myself in the dark. And sometimes I'm scared of the outcome. So I ask you to join with me while we forge through our fears. Fear of success is just as debilitating as fear of failure. I know the book is not a success yet. I pray that it's so, only because that represents you guys are making, you're referring it to your friends and your family, and it's making a difference, or you wouldn't share it. So Godspeed, guys. God bless you in your endeavors. The next episode I'll probably be a spaz again. But I wanted to take a second with you and share with you a little bit about what's going on behind the scenes as we produce the podcast and get the book out to you and get everything ready. I wish I knew you personally, but for whatever reason, there is a connection because I'm willing to go to this place inside of me because you're willing to listen, you're willing to take a stand for your life, and you're willing to experience more and greater things for you and your loved ones. So be well. Have an amazing morning or afternoon or night. If you're working out, if you're in your car, if you're on a walk, if you're with one of your beloveds, tell them that you love them. and stand for yourself and stand for them in everything that you do. This is Merrill Chandler, your host of Are You Effable? Have a brilliant, brilliant day. Hey guys, thank you for listening to Are You Effable? Please leave comments because I would love to read about your aha moments from this episode. And be sure to visit fundinghackers.com to view the blog post, get important links, join our community, and much, much more. And you gotta tell your friends about this podcast. We want them to become effable too.